For some of the fight fans that don't know how you got into boxing, I know there's a story behind it. Can you please share with the fight fans how you got into boxing? Because you got into it a little later.
Yes, started boxing. Well, boxing was always my first passion. My dad first put a pair of gloves on me when I was 10 years old. But boxing wasn't mainstream, so I played everything else under the sun, from football, baseball, soccer, gymnastics, track and field. I loved everything. And then when I was 17, I said, wait a minute, I want to fight. And I had just graduated, and my father, I was sneaking down to a gym, and my father comes back and he's like, wait a minute, you got to either go to school or get a job because, you know, I hate to break it to you, kid, but that boxing dream's not going to, you know, it's a 1 in a million shot. So when I did make it, I said, hey, Dad, I guess that 1 in a million shot came true. But, you know, I understand what he was saying because I have kids now too. And he was talking to me as a father. But I got past discouragement, and that's the key to all you young fighters is discouragement, because you're going to be discouraged a lot in this game. It's not always going to be rainbows and you know, it's not always going to be Floyd. Everyone thinks Floyd is the money man, and I see all those money team guys trying to be like Floyd, but people don't realize that Floyd didn't really hit that till he was in his 30s.
Yeah.
People don't see that, you know, they see now. They see the success and it looks like overnight, but there's a lot of peaks and valleys in this game, guys. Don't fool yourself. Do the work. There's no shortcut to success in this game. There really isn't. So, to be honest with you, I went out there, I started fighting. Right when I went to the gym, the trainer says, what's wrong, your girlfriend break up with you? I said, man, do I look that ugly? I want to fight. And I had my first amateur fight. Vanas Martirosyan was there. He was already just made the Olympic team. They hadn't even went to the Olympics at that stage. And Vanas, throw the right hand, John. And I remember that first fight, man, I was so tired. I was like, oh my God, do I really have what it takes to make it in boxing? But I stuck with it, and here I am today.
Everybody getting their final question, starting off with Steve.
No, do him first.
All right, Dominic, get the last question yours then. Fine.
One thing I wanted to ask you, which is, I don't know, I'm going to go back to MMA, but I'm curious to know, had you heard about Conor McGregor getting knocked out in sparring, and what do you think about Conor McGregor still talking about wanting to get into a boxing ring?
Sparring and fighting are two different beasts. You know, when you're in here, that's why it's usually closed off, because fighters need to be themselves and not trying to, like, if you guys are here watching me spar, I'm not going to do what I'm supposed to do to learn. You remember, this is a classroom for us. Mm-hmm. So if you guys are here watching, the guy gets a good shot at me, I'm going to kick his ass. That's just me being a fighter. Mm-hmm. And that's why fighting is very limited. There's no cameras allowed. And when you're at that level, people are not allowed to watch because you can't really be there. When Shadid's working with me and he wants me to do, you know, X, Y, and Z, well, when I get hit and you guys are watching, I'm going to feel like I got to go screw X, Y, and Z. I'm going to go be a man and get mine back. Okay. That's why boxing is what it is. So if he got knocked out or whatever in boxing, that's behind closed doors and that's how it should be, whatever. But then again, boxing, fight night, and in the gym are two different beasts. I know guys that are gym warriors, gym champions, and they get into their life and they shrink up, and vice versa. So I heard about him. I've seen his boxing ability, not in an actual fight, but in the gym. I think he's light years ahead, away from being ready for a fight. That's my personal opinion. I think he's a game player. I think he could get in there and do what he's got to do if push comes to shove. So I really don't put too much emphasis on sparring.
Mm-hmm. What's the toughest obstacle you ever had to overcome? And part two, talk about, because you kind of have that cool appeal, you know what I mean? Like, I guess you were so cool at the Adrian Broner fight, he asked you to a strip club, right? So talk about the difference between, like, being accessible to both sides of the fence, meaning like black athletes, black fans, Latino fans. You seem like you're not like ruptured to go either way.
For me, that's just me. That's who I am, man. I'm very, I'm a peaceful. I fight, but I'm a peaceful guy. Really, I like to get along with everybody, man. Even Hank Lundy.
As you can see.
No, man. You know,
flashbacks.
Together, Lundy.
Some of these guys take this game too serious in the sense that it's personal. This is a business. This is what we do for a living. I want to fight you. I'm going to beat your ass, but I'm going to take you to dinner after because it's not personal. It's what we do for a living. And if you have a good, healthy understanding of that, you're gonna do well in this game. But if you got a chip on your shoulder, it's a short life to live with a chip on your shoulder, man. I mean, certain fighters piss me off, but I'll have my chance with them in the ring. But I'm not gonna take it home. When I'm at home with my kids and my wife, I'm not worried about those guys, man. That's what it's really all about. And I'm friends with everybody, man.
I've seen that.
I'm friends with everybody. I get along with everybody. If you don't like me, you're an asshole. If you don't like me, you're an asshole because
Fernando, you're an asshole.
you're an asshole. Yeah. You're an asshole if you don't like me. Yeah. You got Mike Wazowski over here. He's an asshole. But no. I mean, I'm a sociable person, man. I like to socialize, and you ask any of my friends that I went to high school with. I was always, the funny guy, the class clown, doing my thing, and that's just how I am.
To kind of follow up with his question, for my last question, what is your most memorable, I guess that you could talk to on camera, but kind of your most memorable moment, say after a fight or hanging out with a fighter after a fight or maybe after one of your own fights, just kind of the best time you've had, say with other fighters doing whatever.
That I've actually competed against, that I fought?
Or
anybody.
You just hung out with the fighter after their
My
fight,
most
or...
memorable moment, I've met Sugar Ray Leonard on many occasions. Great guy, very humble guy, great champion. In my opinion, the best, one of the best.
Who's number one?
Ooh, here we go.
Roy?
I mean, come on. It depends on what you look at. In the ring only, there's a lot of fighters. You could look at a man that what he's done in the ring and outside of the ring. Muhammad Ali is the best at that. He not only in the ring, he was a champion outside of the ring. That's a whole other can of worms. With that being said, I was with Sugar Ray Leonard. We're sitting down. I said, Sugar, Mr. Ray Leonard. I said, hold on. Floyd? And Floyd, that's not a knock. I was just making a joke, man. You may take it disrespectful because it was a joke, ongoing joke. Just so happens the name.
It's a running gag.
Yeah, there you go. But I was talking to Sugar Ray Leonard, and I said, you know what my favorite fight of yours is? He said, what is it? I said, when you beat Donnie Lalonde. And he says, man, he's like, you brought that. And then immediately following that, I looked at his Facebook page. Check out this fight with me and Donnie Lalonde. I was like, oh, remind me. But he mentioned something to me because he went up, was it light heavyweight?
It was supposed to be for 175-pound and 168-pound
Yeah.
title. Somehow they made it for both titles,
Yeah.
which was a
They
little
waited
weird.
twice.
But it was the
Yeah.
birth of the super middleweight titles
Yeah.
that was
And
coming through.
so here's a man that was much smaller fighting a guy, Donnie Lalonde, who was undefeated, who was a heavy puncher. And Sugar Ray Leonard told me himself that every punch that Lalonde hit him with, he felt. They hurt. And he's like, and that animal instinct came out in him and he let it go. But the fact that I was able to relate that, because as a kid I was watching, not as a kid watching the fight, but as a kid growing up, my dad had archives of fights and I was always popping the VHS, that's old school, and watching all these old fights, and I watched that fight and I watched the build up to the fight and I watched the way he ended the fight. If you haven't seen that fight, go
I've
YouTube
seen
it,
it
check it. It's a great ending. It never gets old. But that's one of my favorite moments, to be able to express to one of my idols in the boxing game that's one of the fights I enjoyed, and to get the insight behind it. As a kid growing up watching those fights, I never thought I was going to be able to pick his brain about it. And the fact that I'm able to do that, it's an amazing feeling.